Hello and welcome to another webinar in association with the Global Testers Day Event 2022. Today we have a great mentor, someone who always strives for excellence, a great professional who will add to any position that he is put in. Let's welcome Tiago Gomes, Lead QA Consultant at Thoughtworks. Tiago is a great teacher and also a content creator for the Certified Tech Developer course at Digital House. And in today's webinar, we have Tiago to talk about the future of accessibility in software testing rights.
Hello everyone, welcome to my talk about the future of accessibility in software testing for the Global Testers Day 2022. My name is Tiago Gomes. Let me start with my self-description. I'm a young white male with dark hair. I'm using black glasses, wearing a pink shirt and a black jacket. In my background, there's a white wall and a corridor with a door open. So what is accessibility? It's the practice of making our solution usable by as many people as possible, and it's also about treating everyone the same and giving them equal opportunities, no matter what their ability or circumstances. And what is accessibility testing? Well, it's a type of test designed to determine whether individuals with disabilities will be able to use your system. It's a subset of usability testing, an inclusive practice of ensuring there are no barriers that prevent interaction with applications or websites by people with physical, cognitive, or situational disabilities. When it comes to testing web applications for accessibility, we must follow the Global Accessibility Guidelines created by the Worldwide Consortium, which defines the list of accessibility standards, the CCAG. The guidelines are classified under 4 principles. The first one is perceivable. Information and user interface components must be presentable to users in ways they can perceive. This means that users must be able to perceive the information being presented. It can't be invisible to all their senses. The second one is operable. User interface components and navigation must be operable. This means that users must be able to operate the interface, and the interface can't require interaction that a user can't perform. The third one is understandable. Information and the operation of user interface must be understandable. This means that users must be able to understand the information as well as the operation of the user interface, and the content or operation can't be beyond their understanding. The last one is robust. Content must be robust enough that it can be interpreted reliably by a wide variety of users' agents, including assistive technologies. This means that users must be able to access the content as technologies advance. As technologies and users' agents evolve, the content should remain accessible. If any of these aren't true, users with disabilities will not be able to use the web. Well, the COVID pandemic had a huge impact on the demand for usability research. The download of mobile applications and the use of web-based devices increased significantly since 2020. As a result of growing competition, businesses are under pressure to comply with the specifications of the accessibility guidelines, which increases the need for accessibility testing. But how is accessibility being handled in software development around the world? We often believe that with accessibility testing, we can increase the reach of our application and make our product more profitable. But it shouldn't be our first concern. We also often like to believe that we don't build products, we build solutions. A solution to ease someone's pain, a solution to make our world better. And of course, it's okay to make some profit on the way, but are we really into creating a solution that could truly help and have a big positive impact on people's lives without thinking of accessibility? Could it be possible? World's leading software companies understood that it couldn't. People involved in the process of software development, especially testers, are starting to see that accessibility is not the cherry on the cake, that final thing that makes something perfect. They are now starting to think that accessibility belongs to the cake batter, the basis that will provide the construction of a truly good and inclusive software. So, we already know that companies are in need for accessibility testing, and thankfully, we have begun to understand why should we focus on accessibility testing. What happens now? In the next years, the demand for QA professionals who are dedicated to accessibility testing will increase. We have already started to feel this over the last couple of years, and I can say especially here in Brazil. It also means that for a generalist QA, solid knowledge of accessibility test will be a plus during a job interview. It's okay if you haven't paid much attention to the subject so far, but I hope you start to see accessibility with new eyes from now on. So, where do we begin? We create an accessibility policy and statement for our team and stakeholders. It should cover all of the ways each of them interact with our software. Our accessibility policy should explain why accessibility is crucial to our company's operation, and it should be crystal clear, especially to our stakeholders, for their support being crucial on raising awareness and making accessibility a priority, as well as obtaining budget and resources. Now, the accessibility statement, on the other hand, is meant for the general public. This statement provides the world with transparency into our company's operations and explains our vision, mission, and priorities. Now that we have our policy and statement written, it's time to make a test plan or write down our test strategy that includes accessibility testing, a priority from the start, and then start training everyone that takes part on the project, including QAs, developers, the UX team, and the managers. Everyone must be on the same page. Now we test. There are several ways to do good accessibility tests, but I'd like to discuss 3 simple tests that, if you apply it into your project, you will quickly feel an improvement in accessibility. The easiest way and basic manual way of testing accessibility is the keyboard accessibility. This can be done by pressing the Tab key of the keyboard. Ideally, every link will get focused on every tab press, and thus the user will be able to navigate through the application. Let's talk about testing for color blindness accessibility. There are simple yet effective ways when it comes to testing for color blindness accessibility. We could use Color Oracle to do a fast validation of the colors we are using on our application, for example. So let's take a look. This is an image with normal vision set on Color Oracle. It's a circle with the number 27 on it. There should be some red-orange dots around the number 27 that's made of greenish dots. Now, this is the same image with deuteranopia, a common type of color blindness set on Color Oracle. I can no longer see the 27 unless I strain my eyes really hard. This is the same image with protanopia, a rare type of color blindness set on Color Oracle. And this is also the same image with tritanopia, a very rare type of color blindness set on Color Oracle. With different types of color blindness, the same image can be easier or harder to see and understand depending on its colors. Now let's take a look on another free application that we can use when testing for color blindness accessibility on web applications. It's called Wave. Well, I'm testing a Brazilian website that contains a lot of contrast issues, which is really bad for colorblind people. If we click here at contrast and choose one of the contrast issues, we can see that the AA and the AAA levels of CAG conformance are failing in its tests. We need at least the AA test to pass. So we basically have 2 choices here. We can adjust the font color or the background color. in order for the test to pass, and then we could suggest the developers or the designers to adjust the colors, but sometimes we won't be able to ask for it to change because of branding issues, basically. So in this page, there is still an option available, suggest to developers that they include a high contrast button on the website. Now, if we get this green background a little darker, all of our tests will pass, the AA and the AAA. But if we couldn't change the green background, we could adjust the font color and make it black, and then the tests will also pass. We can do the same here. We still have a AAA that failed, but we got 3 passes. Well, it's a start. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. High contrast mode is an accessibility feature that changes the look of our website and applications by replacing the original colors of the different elements like background, buttons, or text with some user setup colors. This has multiple purposes like increasing readability, reducing visual noises by removing certain elements, and by extension, allowing them to have a better focus. Here we have an example of a website in its original form, and then the same website after high contrast being activated. When it comes to testing for blindness accessibility, it's not enough just downloading a screen reader and verifying each element for our application. If it can actually be read, it's always the least we should do. The most important thing to do here, in my experience, is reaching out a blind user and talking to her. This is the only way we could truly understand the user's point of view, and then you would be able to have a glimpse of how they feel while using a screen reader. This level of understanding can't be achieved by just observing and learning about them and reading about how screen reader works. So it's very important that there is interaction between the QA who's planning the test and the blind user who can provide a unique perspective that might completely change the way we plan our tests. After that, you can download the screen reader and start writing your test cases because now you know what really matters to them. Getting back to the cherry on the top example, back in the day, accessibility testing had to happen at the end of the entire development cycle, if not after the delivery date. It happened the most because many accessibility initiatives there are the result of end users encountering inaccessible sites or applications and taking legal action to gain equal access to these contents. The shift-left accessibility testing is one of the critical components of accessible software development. It allows the tester to detect possible standards violations at the very beginning of the project launch and eliminate them by choosing the appropriate technology stack, validating UI and UX design, and choosing the proper accessible techniques for the development team. If a software development team uses accessible techniques, any shift-left testing by automated tools and plugins can provide significant beneficial results. This kind of testing is the foundation of the shift-left approach in software development that relies on principles of early testing, the effective gathering of product requirements, and preventing critical bottlenecks. Now I'm going to show you how to make a really quick automated accessibility testing on a website or web application using Robot Framework with Selenium library and Excel library. We start by downloading and installing Python. Where's Python? Here. Okay, I'll download this version. for Windows installer. Now we execute it. Don't forget to mark this checkbox add Python to path. It's very important. And then install now. It shouldn't take long. Now we open our command prompt and type pip install robot framework. Pip install robot framework. Selenium library. And pip install robot framework. Exe library. I'll leave the 3 commands in here. Okay, next step is to download the Chrome driver. We must download the version that matches our Chrome version, and we can check the Chrome version by clicking at the 3 dots on the upper corner, on the upper right corner, and then help, about Google Chrome. Mine is version, let me see, this one. Okay, then I'll download it for Windows. Once it's done, you have to unzip it and take the Chrome driver to the script directory. Just give me a minute. Okay, we'll unzip it and send the Chrome driver to the scripts directory under Python directory. So to find our Python directory, an easy route is to search for pip and then open its directory. And we will already be on the scripts directory under Pythons. I already have my Chrome driver here. So let's go on. Now we open our Visual Studio Code. Let me just reshare my screen. Okay. Here, I'll create 2 files. Global Testers Day. gtd.robot and gtd.resource. Let me put it in a way it gets easier for me to show you how it works. Okay. Now we start with our automated testing. There are 4 sections we have to use on Robot Framework, which is settings, test case or test cases, on our robot file, on our resource file, I'll create variable sections, and the keyword section. All right. Here, we put down the library we're going to use. We're using Selenium library and the X library. We also have to link our resource file to our robot file. It's important that you use at least 2 spaces between the library and its contents. We also create our test setup and our test teardown. Here's what our robot framework will do before our test. We want it to open the website, and the test teardown is what is going to happen after the test. So close browser. Let me just adjust this, guys. All right, we're all set. Now we gave a title to our test case. I'm going to call it accessibility test. 2 spaces. Here we'll write the first step of our test. It's a quick test, so it's only going to have 1 step. I'm going to call it login page accessibility test. Okay. Now we take this login page accessibility test under the keyword section, and we tell our robot what we want him to do with it. So actually, before anything else, let's create this keyword, open the website. Okay, with this, I'm opening my browser. I'm starting the Chrome browser with the QA Touch website. Just give me a second. We could put this in here, but I will actually create a variable called website. Two spaces or more between them. The browser we're using is Chrome driver. It's Chrome. Okay, we also want to maximize our browser window after the test starts. Now, the login page accessibility tests. Well, we start with 2 spaces. Okay, we're creating a JSON file that will have all our accessibility failures that our test found. We also count how many violations our test found. And we will also create a readable result that will read our JSON file and show it to us in a more easy way, in a more clean way. All right. With this, we should be able to run our test, opening our terminal and type in robot gtd.robot. Let me just restart my VS Code as I recently installed the Python. Okay, we're back again. Just a second. Okay, let's try again. We open our site. The test has been done and it's passed, but it passed only because we didn't set an exception or an assertion. What are we testing actually? Because we had probably some accessibility issues in here and we can see it on our log file. Let me just find it. It's here. Log readable accessibility results. We found 2, 3. There is 9 accessibility issues that were found. So if is set an assertion, should be true. In this case, I don't want the results violations to be more than 1. So if it's more than 1, the test will fail. Let's run it again. The test is done. And it failed. It failed because our robot found 9 accessibility issues and we were expecting the maximum of 1 issue. So if I change here to 10, it should pass. Test passed. That's it. Let me just go back here. Okay. Okay, people, this is it. I hope you enjoyed spending time here with me, hearing about accessibility testing. I wish you all a happy Global Testers Day. Thank you.
As always, sharing knowledge in an extraordinary way. Thank you, Tiago. Also, thank you to all the participants. Do not forget to follow the QA Touch community on our social media handles.